seconds to go. Oh, wait. We're hearing it now. The pick is in. Let's go to the commissioner and see what happens.
With the 5th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback, Alabama.
Nigga with a vicious mind, hard cold like Christmas time. Every time I write a rhyme, put it all on the line. No need to hold my tongue. Hold the mic like you hold a gun. Haters, I'm the chosen one. Fakers, I don't roll with none. Don't you ever test my heart. Been a rebel from the start. Ain't got time to play no games. I'm too busy playing my part. Keep my mind on my mission. Living by my premonition. Through the world with blurry vision. Stressing in high definition. Not the man I wanna be, but I'll be damned I'm gonna be. How in the hand I'm gonna see the obstacles in front of me. What you know my sacrifice when life is far from paradise. My palms that hold a paradise. I stay in clear of parasites. Walking the path unknown to most. The ones that I love, I hold them close. Every rhyme I wrote was dope. No jokes so folks can overdose. Lyrically, I'm legendary. Yes, I'm very necessary. Plans to see my adversaries buried in the cemetery. Come take a walk through my heart. A stroll through my soul. Being smart from the start. Wasn't taught, wasn't told. You could climb through my mind. I'll fly through my eye. And in time you will find what I rhyme is not a lie. Come take a walk through my heart. A stroll through my soul. Being smart from the start. Wasn't taught, wasn't told. You could climb through my mind. I'll fly through my eye. And in time you will find what I rhyme is not a lie. You better open the door and let me in. I'm kicking the door off the hinge. The beginning of your end. When you friggin' with my can. Oh, you wanna be a thief? You're welcome to eternal sleep. This is not considered beef. The beef for me is obsolete. For everything that you stole, put a hole in your soul, burning me internally. But why the hell am I so cold? Two wrongs don't make a right. Damn sure gon' make my night. Better be ready to take that flight and take a step into the light. Now I'm in a bad mood. There will be no remorse. Now I got an attitude and plan to use deadly force. Now it's time for you to bleed. For your jealousy and greed. My mind telling me to kill. Just like it's telling me.
What is up, Straight Talk Society? Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Scoreboard, the Miami Dolphins post-game show for your good guy, Miami Football Dolphins versus the stinking New York Jets. So shout out, first of all, I see that we do have a new member. Let me first acknowledge you. Shout out to Jacob Ibri. Appreciate you joining the channel membership. That is what is up. Shout out to those of you watching right now. Is what 30 of you watching. Make sure and hit the like button. So let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. Let me get this out of the way because the haters will say, oh, it was just the New York Jets. And I agree. It was the New York Jets. So I'm not going to sit here and act like we just beat the best team in the NFL, but a win is a win. So for those of you who come over here to try to rain on my parade, it's not going to happen. A win is a win. I don't think the Dolphins are a great football team, but today they actually showed me something today. They showed me what I've been asking them to show me for the longest. Just show me a little bit of toughness. Just show me that you could get into some adversity and not fold. Now, I wish it would have happened in the Green Bay game, but it didn't. So we got to play who's on our schedule. So that's where we are with that. So let's get into this game just real quick, though. My shout out to Bones in the building. Shout out to Ricardo in the building. So real quick, I kind of wasn't really into the game a lot. Not that it was bad. It just, when I saw this game on the schedule, I'm like, okay, it's the Jets. We've owned the Jets for a while now. We were going to go and smack the Jets. Because one thing we know, the Dolphins can kick the hell out of some bad teams, and the Jets are a bad football team. But this game was a little too back and forth for my liking. It was a little too close for my liking, and it did show some problems that I've been saying all season. This is nothing new that I've been saying all season about the Dolphins' weaknesses and things like that. But I'm not going to harp on that too much because, hey, again, a win is a win, man. Shout out to those of you watching over on Twitter. So let's get into my game notes that I have. You guys know I like to take game notes and then we just kind of go from there. So Miami's opening drive, Miami did receive the ball. Miami's opening drive was a balanced mix of run and pass. So that's kind of where it stopped right there. That's kind of where the run game stopped right there. That opening drive. It was capped off by a 2-yard TD run from Devon Achane. Tua again is masterful with the short passing attack because the Dolphins can't run the football. So if you can't run the football, then you have to use the short passes as your run game. And they have been masterful ever since the return of the Samoan sniper. And Miami, if you guys aren't acknowledging him right now, I just don't understand what's wrong with you. This guy gives us the best and only chance to win football games because we have zero run. Can't run the ball for anything. So if Tua isn't out there, then you might as well don't even watch that game. Jason Sanders. Oh man, Jason Sanders with the rare extra point miss. But we're gonna call Mr. Jason Sanders' name later on in this review. So now once he missed the extra point, you know where my mind went. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. This is what it's gonna come down to. I'm like, it's gonna come down to this missed extra point. And we're going to lose because this jack-off missed this extra point that he nails all the time. But kickers this season have been missing a lot of extra points. I don't know what it is, but there's been a lot of missed extra points in the league this year, which is crazy because these kickers are booting the ball from 60, but they can't hit the extra point now. So I don't know what's going on with that. But that play, that opening drive was 8 plays, 70 yards. Took 4 minutes and 26 seconds off the clock. New York's first possession, Miami held the Jets to a field goal because the defense was out there sticking earlier in the game. And I'm going to get to my thoughts on the defense afterwards. Let me see. Miami held the Jets to a field goal, but missed tackles remain an issue of the defense. So even though the defense was playing more so like bend, don't break, there was still a lot of missed tackles, man. I think today this score was the score is what it was. The score was 32. What was it? 32 to 26. Again, Miami scores another 30-point game ever since Tua came back. You see what's going on here? Without Tua, 11 points a game. With Tua, 30 points a game. So, I mean, it is what it is. But Miami's defense still is missing tackles, man. Especially in between the tackles when runners are running straight up the gut. Miami is missing a lot of tackles. There's a lot of arm tackles. And what I noticed a lot of today too, Aaron Rodgers could have threw like 4 interceptions because there was a lot of tip passes that Miami just wasn't getting their hands on. So it's like all that type of stuff I was noticing. This game could have been way out of hand. Like the Dolphins could have put this game out of hand a long time ago, but not getting those interceptions and things like that really kept the Jets in the game. Because let's look at this really. The Jets have basically given up. You know, they're packing it in. They're just playing out whatever they have to play, and all they're doing right now is playing spoiler. And who else would they rather play spoiler for than to knock the Dolphins out of the playoffs, out of playoff contention? Because believe it or not, now at 6-7, Miami is still in the hunt. You know, if the Colts slip up, the Texans, Miami controls their own destiny because we play the Texans next week. So if, you know, a couple of breaks, you could still sneak into the playoffs somehow. You could still have a winning season and salvage this disappointment of a season. So I have in Miami's second possession that Miami's run game looked noticeably stronger this matchup. But again, that went out of the window real quick. The Jets were playing Tyreek Hill 10 yards off the ball. I noticed that. Normally, they just put a safety over the top and, you know, they take Tyreek out of the game today. Tyreek Hill had a very, very efficient game today because the Jets, for whatever reason, didn't put the safety over the top. They were just playing him 10 yards off the ball. They were scared to death of him. And he was just killing them with all the intermediate routes and all the crossing routes. There was a great pass later on in the game that had Tua hit him. With that he would have walked in the end zone for a touchdown. It would have been it would have been great, but he missed them nevertheless. Tua's getting more time to survey the field, which is a rarity this season. There was a point in the first quarter where Tua was actually patting the ball. Now we know Tua has the quickest release in the NFL. He gets the ball, he throws the ball. But there were times where he was able to go to his first, second, third receiver and come back to his first receiver, and it was a beautiful thing to see. The line was really holding up for him. So we get into the so my last note for that is Teron Armstead's out again. Teron Armstead was having knee issues all week. He decided to give it a go, but eventually he just couldn't take it anymore. And he was really depressed. So I bag on Teron Armstead for always being hurt and things like that. But the guy's an NFL player, man. He has pride in what he does. So he was over on the sideline, noticeably upset. He had the towel over his head, so he probably was crying because it still matters. Again, the Dolphins, believe it or not, the Dolphins actually have a chance to make the playoffs. Now, what we'll do in the playoffs, I got no idea unless we play Pittsburgh. Because if we play Pittsburgh, I am telling you, we're going to smash the Steelers. And I'm hoping that can happen, but we'll get there when we get there. So these guys still are playing for something. They haven't quit. They haven't packed it in and things like that. So they're really playing for something. So when he's the guy that's supposed to protect Tua's blind side, especially with Tua's injury history, he feels bad when he's out there and he can't play. You know what I mean? So that's what it was. So I felt bad for the big man. Second quarter, on a 3rd and 1 play, Tua narrowly misses Tyreek Hill on the crossing route. Obvious no call. I mean, the blind Stevie Wonder could have saw that up in the nosebleeds. That there was a PI, but they didn't call it. That was his first incompletion of the game. Jason Sanders hits a 39-yard field goal. So my observation on that, I would have gone for it, but it seems Coach McDaniel wanted to rebuild Sanders' confidence. So in this game, Mike McDaniel went for it a lot, but there were 2 times in particular where he didn't go for it, where I thought he should have went for it, and this being one of them. But I think after Sanders missed that field goal, he wanted to kind of rebuild his confidence back because, these guys can get in their heads. And if they don't, you miss one, you get in your head, then you go out there and you miss another one. Next thing you know, you're losing games for it. So Sanders hit the 39-yard field goal. And again, like I said, I thought that was just to build his confidence back. So Aaron Rodgers, the old man Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Graybeard himself, Brett Favre 2.0. Aaron Rodgers had a ridiculous time in the pocket today. Aaron Rodgers literally looked 20 years younger today in that pocket, patting the ball, stepping up into the rush. The pass rush was really non-existent for the majority of the game. I have here as a note, Miami has to find some way to get some pressure. They have to find some way to get some pressure. You can't use the fact that you don't have Jalen Phillips. You can't use the fact that you don't have Bradley Chubb, which Bradley Chubb should be back really, really soon. But nevertheless, these guys got to find some way to get some pressure. It can't just be Zach Sealer and Calais Campbell up the middle, forcing all the sacks and stuff like that. The outside guys and the linebackers have to create some type of pressure. So that was a glaring thing to me, man. Weaver, you got to do something with this defense, mix up some coverages, do something, get these guys, off the edge a little quicker. You got to do something. New York converted on a 4th and 4 with a 34-yard completion, advancing into Miami territory. So here's the funny thing, side note. So you guys know that I don't turn away wagering on the games. But the thing about me, I always take like the prop bets. I never just do like a straight up bet. I'll do some prop bets. So there was a prop bet on a particular app that said it was plus 2,000. So Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams, all they had to do was get 5 yards every quarter. And that was at plus 2,000. Now, who wouldn't take a bet like that? You're talking about Tyreek Hill coming off of 2 back-to-back 1,700-yard years. He's down this year, but that's Tua's guy still. And Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers' guy, you can't trust them to get 5 yards every quarter. So I took that with no problem. Oh my goodness. Friggin' Devontae Adams, no catches in the first quarter. Wonk, wonk. Tyreek Hill was a dog in the first quarter. Devontae Adams, no catches in the first quarter. But this is where it always bites me. The second quarter on, the man was an absolute monster. And I said, of course he was. Just my luck. Of course that I take this bet and he doesn't have a catch in the first quarter, but he goes off the rest of the game. Just absolutely crazy, man. So New York, the Jets did score on a 17-yard untouched run. When I say untouched, they probably got a finger on him. Again, that's Miami's lack of tackling, and it goes back to the toughness, like I said. And then here's a note that I had as I'm watching the game. I'm like, man, the Jets players look so much bigger than the Dolphins. I'm watching it, and I'm like, man, the Jets guys look gigantic, especially their line. They look gigantic standing next to the Dolphins. I'm like, man, the Dolphins got to get some size. They got to get some beef, man. You got Sealer and you got Campbell, but Campbell, this may be Campbell's last year, and Sealer is one man. You gotta get some beef on that on that line, man. These guys just look smaller than everybody else. When they're on the field and you're watching them, you're like, man, this is a small team. Tua connects with Tyreek Hill on a tight 21-yard pass down the seam. Just excellent accuracy, just excellent. So now there was a third down. I think it was like a 3rd and 6. Tua has nobody open. Tua takes off running, and again, you could hear the collective gasp in the air in the stadium. I'm watching at home, but you could hear the collective gasp. Even Kevin Harlan on commentary is like, man, you hear the gasp in Miami whenever he takes off, and the place erupted when he slid, because Tua earlier said that his injuries were, a lot of it was his fault, not protecting himself, taking on defenders head first when he shouldn't have. He should have just slid. So whenever he slides, it just sends the stadium erupts. Like, when we were there about a month or so ago, and he slid, oh man, the place just went crazy. Just because that's our quarterback, man. In the words of Terrell Owens, that's my quarterback. That's my quarterback, and I'm gonna defend my quarterback. He is the reason the Dolphins are watchable, is because of Tua. So on a 4th and 2, Tua found Jalen Waddle for a 6-yard gain and a first down. The next play was disastrous. So Tua, I don't know what the hell they had planned. He threw a screen pass to Devon Achane. Achane got demolished. And immediately they sent him to the blue tent. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So we already don't have a running game, and now our all-purpose back is now out of the game. So, he went into the blue tent. So then after that, like everybody just went crazy. A series of mistakes stalled Miami's drive in the red zone, illegal formation penalties. Seems like Achane not being there just disrupted the rhythm. Malik Wright couldn't really get anything going, so Miami settled for a 24-yard field goal, to take the lead, to add more to the lead. So the next drive for the Jets, the defense missed a bunch of opportunities. Like I said earlier, Aaron Rodgers was out there throwing it, but Aaron Rodgers also was throwing a lot of reckless passes, and the defense missed a lot of passes that they could have took the other way for 6. And I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes when you get those gifts, you just got to take them, because you never know when you're ever going to get them. Emmanuel Ogbah sacked Rodgers, huge sack on Rodgers, but a defensive holding penalty brought it back. Again, the Dolphins, every time they get that momentum, something you always look on the field, because you see the laundry is about to bring it back, and that was no difference. Ogbah, at the time the Jets were driving, Ogbah had the nice sack. You looked on the field coming back. Then next play, Rodgers to Devontae Adams, bomb to Devontae Adams. And then the weirdest, now this is before the first half was up, now the weirdest the weirdest series ever happened here. So now you're inside the 2-minute warning. The Jets are driving, and it's false start by the Jets, offsides by the Dolphins, false starts by the Jets, illegal formation. I mean, they were just trading back to back, like who could be the more undisciplined team. And this was weird because in this game, the Dolphins' lack of discipline showed his ugly head again. Now, the past few games, we've been very clean as far as penalties and especially the pre-snap penalties, because you're going to get penalties. You know, the refs are sometimes want to call everything, but you're going to get, but it's those pre-snap penalties are the ones that you like. It's just so infuriating. And Miami was getting a lot of the pre-snap penalties. Chop Robinson went down, but luckily he came back. You know, there was an injury scare. He was down on the field, but he was back on for the next series. But to their credit, Miami did hold up, and their defense held them to a 30-yard field goal to take the lead 13-12. So the final drive of the half was a thing of beauty. You got 40 seconds left on the clock, no timeouts. And now we know the Dolphins are one of the worst teams when it comes to clock management. But what they did with 40 seconds and no timeouts, they just strung together a bunch of quick passes, and it was just a thing of beauty. They played the clock perfectly. They took their shots where they could, but if it didn't go, they were fine. Nothing to see here. Lined up Jason Sanders' 57-yard field goal to give Miami the lead 15-13 at the half. So Jason Sanders, after missing the extra point, has now hit a 39-yarder and a 57-yarder. So let's move on to the second half, third quarter. Aaron Rodgers continues to have unlimited time in the pocket. Again, the pass rush just was not there. When you have a quarterback that's that, up in age, and he isn't the most mobile person, but what I saw from Aaron Rodgers, just sidestepping tackles and stepping up into the coverage and throwing the ball downfield, should have never happened. They should have been able to get him. They should have been able to get to him. They have to be able to get to the quarterback. Next week, we got the Texans. You got C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud is a big boy. He's not, you're not bringing him down with one arm. You're not bringing him down with just the arm tackle. You're going to have to put pressure on him. He's having a down year this year, but nevertheless, you're going to have to put some pressure on him to get him rattled, to even have a chance to beat them, because the Texans are a good football team, and we know how it is when the Dolphins play good football teams. So this is going to be another test. Let me see. So here we are. Aaron Rodgers, unlimited time, hit Garrett Wilson for a wide open 46-yard pass. Just down the field, 46-yard pass. He had like 3 of them in this game. Javon Holland, normally sure-handed, actually had a pick 6 against the Jets last season. Missed the easiest interception you could ever had that was probably going to go the other way. That's what I'm talking about. You have these game-changing opportunities, and you just let them slip away. Jalen Ramsey had a tremendous almost interception on the sideline, but he couldn't hold on to it. Well, that would have been a little bit of more acrobatic catch. So I don't just joins Dolphin Dubs piece of Honcho and 188. So yeah, but again, the Dolphins had to do two things. I think the Dolphins are last in the NFL in takeaways. Whereas last year their defense was always forcing takeaways. But Miami needs to hold on to those interceptions. Like I said, there was at least 3 or 4 tip balls that could have been going the other way. Because Aaron Rodgers was throwing a lot of errant passes, and they were just going up. And the Dolphins defenders just dropped them. Namely, this one with Javon Holland. Javon Holland literally had that pass, and he dropped it. The Jets converted on a 4th and 2, extending their drive, and on the next play, again, here we go. Watch this. So he doesn't get the interception. The Jets convert on the 4th and 2, and on the next play, Aaron Rodgers hits Devontae Adams for a touchdown pass. You see how the momentum could have shifted had the secondary, and they say that's why they're DBs for a reason, because they can't catch. But sometimes you have these balls in your hand. Sometimes you have these wide open, opportunities to get these interceptions or these fumble recoveries and things like that, and you just don't take them. I mean, you just, hey, oh my God, it's so infuriating, man. But hey, I'm playing Monday morning quarterback. It's all good. So Miami's next possession, a massive run. Devon A-Chain. They hadn't been able to run the ball all game. Devon A-Chain rips one. I mean, rips it right into Jets territory. And guess what? You guessed it, is coming back. A holding by Alec Ingold. Oh, well, okay. In fairness, I always say you can call holding on every single play. You literally could call holding on every single play. I think the holding call is the worst call. They need to find a way to rectify that. And only call like the egregious holding, because literally you're playing football. You can call holding on every single play, but the refs pick and choose what they want to call, because again, I saw obvious PI on Tyreek Hill. They didn't call. There was a horse collar later in the game that they didn't call. So, whatever. Where are we? So Miami fell to 0-4 on third downs, which was crazy. Miami scored on all their possessions up until this point without converting a third down. That's an insane stat, to not have converted on a third down, but to have scored on every possession, either a field goal or a touchdown. So that was crazy. Third down, Tua is looking for a safety net. Tua throws the ball to Odell Beckham. I don't know what they were doing there, but they're well short of the first down. Miami punted for the first time in the game. This was the first punt of the game. Up until this point, they literally scored on every possession, whether it was a touchdown or a field goal. There were very few possessions. In the first half, each team only had 3 possessions, but they scored on every possession. So that's kind of how it was. I have here the pass rush continues to be non-existent with Rodgers standing comfortable in the pocket. They never made it uncomfortable for Aaron Rodgers to me. Like, listen, I'm going to tell you this. You know how y'all watch me enough. I always talk about slump busters. When you're down and out and you need to, you need to get a heftier girl to get you out of your slump. This is what this is like with teams like this. You're supposed to feed on these teams. You're supposed to be able to pin your ears back and go and just destroy these teams. And they just let them hang around. Aaron Rodgers, 4th down, doesn't matter. He's patting the ball. Fourth and 3, Aaron Rodgers is completing 18, 20-yard passes every time. It's crazy. It was crazy to sit there and watch that. I'm just like, oh my goodness, bro. Like, they literally just want to give this game away. So I have New York, shout out to them hefty broads out there. New York converted yet another first down as Miami defense seemed gassed. So I did say the Dolphins defense did seem gassed, because every time they get the Jets into like third down, then the Jets will just hit them with something and get a first. So it's just like they weren't getting off the field. So they did seem kind of gassed. So after a sustained Jets drive, Miami finally sacked Rodgers, but the Jets settled for a 40-yard field goal to extend their lead to 23-15. So now the Jets have the lead, 23-15. Miami's next possession was uninspired. Like, oh man, when the Jets went up 23-15, Miami's next possession looked like they gave up. Like, they were like, all right, this is it. Season's over. Quick 3 and out. Just terrible, man. They looked like they were phoning it in. It was terrible. So the Jets' next possession, the defense decided to wake up. So they forced Rodgers, they sacked Rodgers, forcing the 3 and out. Miami's next drive, the offense relied on short passing game to march down the field efficiently. On 3rd and goal, Miami's run game was stuffed short of the end zone. So here we go. Third and goal. You can't run the ball in. Again, this has been the story of the Dolphins since Tua's return. When Tua wasn't here, the Dolphins had to run the ball. They had no other choice because you didn't have a competent enough quarterback to move you up and down the field. The Dolphins at least showed some semblance of a run game. But ever since Tua's been back, they have been unable to run the ball. 2 times on the goal line, they could not run the ball to get in the end zone. But luckily, you got the most hated man in Miami for whatever reason. Dolphin fans don't like Tua. I think it's ridiculous, but nevertheless, give me Tua. On 4th down, Tua connects to Tyreek Hill for a clutch touchdown. Tua's like, all right, we got it. You can't run the ball out. Listen, I'll put the game on my shoulders again and get you in the end zone. Nice pass to Tyreek Hill. And then they hit the 2-point conversion to Waddle, tying up the game 23-23. So New York's Jets next possession, Miami defense held out, forcing another 3 and out. So this is funny because you can't make this up. So you see my next observation that I wrote in this says Miami's return game continues to be a non-factor. Punt and kick returners consistently failed to give the Dolphins offense a short field. So I wrote that. That's what I wrote. That remember that. I did write that. Miami's next drive, a false start penalty set the tone for another sloppy sequence. A roughing the passer penalty on New York added 15-yard to the 10-yard pass to Waddle, briefly giving Miami the momentum. However, more holding penalties again. The sloppiness rears its ugly head, and the Jets' pass rush was friggin' relentless at this time, kept Miami's offense from capitalizing. Miami punted, pinning New York inside of their own 10-yard line. So Miami gets off a good punt, has New York inside the 10. New York's final drive, the Jets pulled out the old Wildcat. So how ironic that the Jets would use the Wildcat on the Dolphins to convert a first down. Rodgers used play action to gain a huge play, pushing down into Miami's territory. But Miami's defense, to their credit, did stand up and sacked Rodgers, forcing New York to settle for a 42-yard field goal, taking the 26-23 lead with 52 seconds left. So now Miami has 52 seconds left. And Miami, you've seen this story long enough. We know what's about to happen here with the Dolphins. They're going to find a way. You have the chance to go for the kill. You have the chance to put this game into overtime. So historically, what do? They find a way to snatch defeat from the hands of victory, but not this time. Remember what I said earlier about Miami's return game being awful? Like Braxton Berrios, terrible returner. I thought it would have been better with Malik Washington. He's just as terrible. He provides nothing in the return game. Oh, but this is a time where I love to be wrong. On the next kickoff, Malik Washington said, "Hey, Trevor, this is for you." And he returned that ball damn near to the 50. Got Miami in excellent position. Damn near to the 50 with with 52 seconds left, no timeouts. Now it's time to solidify this game. Let everybody know that this is your team. And Miami was like, all right, we're going for the win. We're not playing for the field goal. They ended up settling for a field goal, but they took a couple of shots towards the end zone. That's the one where I was telling you where Tyreek Hill had threw that a little bit more on time. Tyreek would have walked into the end zone and it would have been a walk-off that way. But Miami hit a couple of quick strike passes to Waddle and Hill. They completely took over on that last drive, got Miami into field goal range. Jason Sanders, everybody, we're not going to lie, collectively, when we saw that it was to get Miami into overtime, it was all resting on the leg of Jason Sanders. Be honest with me. How many of y'all actually believe that he was going to make that kick? When I saw, I'm like, oh my God, a 52-yard field goal for Jason Sanders to win the game is not happening. It's not happening because I got no confidence in Jason Sanders. I legit don't have confidence in Jason Sanders, man. I don't know what it is. And I used to love Jason Sanders, but he's just, if nobody got me, I know Jason Sanders got, oh, okay. So Huncho saying, oh, Huncho riding with Jason Sanders. All right. I don't got no confidence in Sanders, man. But this is one of those things. I'm glad when they shut me up. Jason Sanders could have hit that bad boy from 60. He booted it. He booted it. Miami goes and they force the game into overtime. Game's tied up 26-26. So Miami wins the coin toss. Now, there's one name that I have not mentioned this entire review. One name. And it has been Tua's safety blanket. It has been the MVP of the team for the past couple of weeks, Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith in regulation did not have one catch. This guy has consistently been the leading receiver for the past 3 or 4 weeks. Jonnu Smith, no catches in regulation. I was trying to scramble around to see was he hurt or something as to why he wasn't getting targeted, because that's Tua's safety blanket, and Tua would throw to him over Tyreek Hill and everything, which is why I like the fact that they run the offense through Jonnu Smith. So Jonnu Smith was like, hey, don't worry, I'm right here. Miami gets the ball in overtime. Jonnu Smith, 20-yard running catch. And they're like, oh, snap, that worked. Let's do it again. Jonnu Smith, 13-yard running catch. So they literally went to the same play back to back. Now Tua's out there dealing now. He's like, oh, crap, we're going to win this game. We're not settling for a field goal. I want to go into the end zone. He hits Tyreek Hill. For 8 and another first down. Tua to A-chain for 10 and another first down. Now, the ball is on the 13-yard line, and everybody knows what I'm saying right now. Run the doggone football into the end zone. Show us that you can run the ball. You have not been able to run the ball all game. You have not been able to do it. They try to run the ball, and it gets absolutely snuffed out. And Tua's like, hey, Trevor, that's why you are doing commentary. Leave this to us. Let me show you how it's done. 13-yard walk-off touchdown to the aforementioned Jonnu Smith. What a great, let me tell you something. MD, the political prophet amongst men. I don't know if he's listening right now, but he's an Atlanta Falcon fan, and he's ready to just burn the whole thing down right now. He hates Kirk Cousins. But I ask him all the time, how did they let Jonnu Smith go? Jonnu Smith is the absolute man. He had no catches in regulation. I doubt he even had a target. I thought he was hurt because for the past 3 weeks, Tua has been throwing nine receptions, 10 receptions. This guy has been 100-yard tight end and double-digit catches. And now this game against this team where you could use a tight end, no catches. They get the ball in overtime, and it becomes a Jonnu Smith show. And Jonnu Smith and Tua connect with a 13-yard beauty of a touchdown. Tua's like, hey, how do you like me now? The Samoan sniper has not thrown an interception, I want to say, since his return. Since his return, he may have thrown one, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to look at the stats, but he has been absolutely incredible. The Dolphins went from having the worst offense in the NFL to now that Tua's back, they're up to number 6 over these past couple weeks. So don't tell me that Tua's no good as a quarterback. You guys keep saying that. You're ridiculous. You don't watch football. You don't understand how football works. I've watched the Dolphins. I've been watching the Dolphins since I was a little kid. I'm a 44-year-old man. I've watched this team my entire life. This is our quarterback. He's not Dan Marino. No, we're never going to say that, but this is our quarterback. If we're going to win, it is going to be on his arm. Get the guy a running game and get him some protection so he doesn't have to throw the ball in 2 seconds. This is crazy. John Huncho says it was perfect. It was almost like the Jets forgot about Smith. Hey, I thought he was hurt because I mean he's literally been Tua's safety blanket these past few weeks. And the fact that he didn't even get a target, I was like, oh my God, what's going on here? And he was just like, no, I got you. I was saving my best for last. Don't worry about it. I got you. So, oh my God, the Dolphins do pull out the victory. And again, I know it was the Jets. Hey, but you play who's on your schedule. Everybody expected the Jets to be much better than what they are now. So it is what it is. You know, they had bad breaks. We've had bad breaks. We had to play without Tua for 4 weeks. Again, I constantly say this. This is why Chris Grier needs to be fired. Regardless of how the Dolphins season ends up, Grier needs to be fired because when Tua got hurt, he didn't have a suitable backup quarterback. Oh, no, you know what? You did have a suitable backup quarterback in Mike White, but you let him go. So you really should have been gone for that. But so I'll never forgive Chris Grier for that. Chris Grier really needs to be gone just for mishandling the backup QB situation. And for whatever reason, I don't know why they couldn't make it work with Ryan Tannehill to get him in here, but you know, it is what it is with that. So let's get into the stats in the game before I get out of here. So player stats: Aaron Rodgers, 27 to 39, 339 yards, a touchdown and an interception. They didn't run. They had a fairly good running game. You know, I don't care about the Jets. Let me not read their stats. Let's go to the Dolphins. So Tua was 33 of 47, 332 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, I don't want Tua throwing the ball damn near 50 times a game. That's an indictment on the running game. Tua works better when he's around that 30 attempt mark. You know, you're getting them up in the 50s. I mean, you cannot run the ball at all. And I just think that's a recipe for disaster. He got to be able to run the football. He was 33 of 47, 332 yards, 2 touchdowns. Devon A-Chain, 14 carries, 23 yards. Terrible. 1.6 yard average. Terrible. Just absolutely terrible. You're not winning anything with that. Jalen Wright, 2 carries, 7 yards. Tyreek Hill, 1 carry, 6 yards. Jeff Wilson, 1 carry, 4 yards. Tua, again, Tua's right up there in average, 1 carry, 3 yards. Tyreek Hill this is Tyreek Hill's first 100-yard game since week 1. Tyreek Hill, 10 receptions, 115 yards, 11.5 yard average, and 1 touchdown. Like I said last week, Tyreek Hill was getting a lot of dirty yards because of the way these guys are playing him now. It was weird that the Jets were playing him 10 yards off of the ball. So he was always able to get those yards, you know, those first down yards, essentially. Jalen Waddle, 9 catches, 100 yards. Good to see him with a 100-yard game. Devon A-Chain, 6 catches, 45 yards. Jonnu Smith, 3 catches, 44 yards and a touchdown, all in overtime. So he had 3 catches, 44 yards and a touchdown, all on that one overtime possession. Julian Hill, 1 for 14. Jeff Wilson, 1 for 7. Odell Beckham, one catch, 1 yard. That Odell Beckham experiment has been an absolute disaster. Let's see to the sacks. Jordan Brooks had a sack. Who else? Zach Sealer had 2 sacks today. Again, Zach Sealer for Pro Bowl, man. Zach Sealer, just a fantastic player. You do have the heart and soul of the defense right now in Calais Campbell, just continuously to will these guys on, to let them know, like, hey, it's not over. You know, I didn't come back for this. You know, let's do what we got to do. So you love to see it, man. Again, I wish we would have done it against Green Bay just because of the narrative around the NFL about the Dolphins. But, you know, it is what it is, man. So you got to do what you got to do. And let's take a look. Let me see. It was perfect. Okay, so And there are 47 of you guys watching over here right now. Most majority on Twitter, but y'all go ahead and hit the like. I don't know what you do on Twitter as far as the like button or anything like that. That's fine. Drop me something in the chat if you want. Say hello. Let me know how you doing. Peace to the newcomers, Huncho. Who was it? Jacob Avery. I appreciate you joining the channel membership. Let's get into shout out to D Lock in the building. Let's go into the scores from around the league, and then we'll be out of here. Tell you, this show isn't long. Where are we? All right, so we have week 14 started off with the Lions and the Packers. The Lions 34-31 winners over the Packers. You have the Steelers 27-14 over the Browns. The Steelers continue to roll. Jameis Winston continues to be a great guy and a terrible interception thrower at the same time. He'll for every touchdown pass he throws, he'll throw an even worse interception. It's crazy. It's crazy how that works. Where are we? The Saints beat the Giants 14-11. The good guy Miami football Dolphins 32-26 winners over the New York Jets. The Jaguars, which I did pick them in our pool. The Jaguars 10-6 winners over the Titans. The Vikings obliterate the Falcons. Shout out to MD 42-21. Ugh, man. Hey, listen, the cardiac cats don't blink now, but the Panthers, they fall to the Eagles, but they played them hard 22-16. The Buccaneers ended up pulling it out. I know Bones was a little bit worried at first. 28-13 winners over the Raiders. And right now in the late game, you have the Seahawks thrashing the Cardinals 24-10. I knew that one was going to happen, but this is a shocker here. The 49ers are up 21-0 over the Bears. Oh, man. I picked the Bears in this game. I thought because the 49ers being so decimated that they would have, they would have had some problems, but I guess the Bears are the Bears. And right now in the second quarter, the Rams are up 17-14 over the Bills. And then in the late game tonight, you do have the Chargers and Chiefs. That should be a good one. And then the Monday night, you have the Bengals and the Cowboys. And that is your NFL slate of games. And man, drop all the Huncho, obviously we're here, Straight Talk Society, but over on Twitter, I'm the Heel Minister on Twitter, the Heel Minister, going by my wrestling belt collection. You can tell I'm a wrestling fan. The Heel Minister, and that's where we do the shows over here on Twitter and YouTube. So the Rams are scored again. The Rams up 24-14. Wow. Thinking black. APB for thinking black. That's what I'm saying. But that's why the NFL is so weird. The Dolphins went up to Los Angeles and thrashed the Rams. And now the Rams are putting the beat down on the Bills. So nobody in the world is ever going to say that the Dolphins are better than the Bills. I think Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL. But again, the way these games play, these teams are so close. These teams are so close to one another. It's insane that the Dolphins could go up there and just thrash them, and now they're handling the Bills, which have been the Dolphins' daddy. So it's crazy. It's weird, man. But nevertheless, man, we will be back here next week for the post-game show, Dolphins versus Texans. Let's look at the schedule before we go. I always got to look at this schedule. So now the Dolphins stand at 6-7. I mean, you are what your record says. Still not 500. We have the Texans, the 49ers, the Browns, and the Jets. We're 6-7. 6-7. And I'm saying right now, you got to win them all. You got to win them all. You can't lose one. The one that you could have lost was the Green Bay one, and you lost it. So now there's no margin for error. You have to win the remaining 4 games. The Texans aren't world beaters this season. The Texans are very much beatable, but the Dolphins have to play a smart game, and they got to find a way to run the damn football. I mean, this I sound like a broken record here. Run the ball. Then we play the 49ers, which, the 49ers is a polarizing. They're a bipolar team if I ever seen one. One day they're up, so one day they're getting their ass kicked, and now they're putting the beats on the Bears 21-0. So it's crazy. But again, and that game will be here. Yeah, that game is in Miami. So you got to win that game. And then the Dolphins' last 2 games are on the road against Cleveland. So it's going to be snowing like crazy. But guess what? Find a way to win the game. The Browns aren't world beaters. And Jameis Winston is going to give you 2 gifts. Jameis Winston is going to give us 2 Christmas gifts. Easy. He'll throw the ball. He'll throw 2 pick sixes in that game. And then we finish the season against the Jets. Again, we should beat the Jets. It's going to be cold, but again, so what? So what? Grow some balls about you, get some toughness, and find a way to win the game. And that's it. That's it. And then if that pans out, then we'll end up with a 10-7 record and let the chips fall where they may. But this team obviously has a lot of issues, especially in the run game. But things, a few lucky bounces. I think this is the first time all year I've worn my Tyreek Hill jersey, because you guys know, so I don't believe in luck, but I always wear my Tua jersey. But I thought about it. I'm like, okay, if Tua's success, if I think Tua's success is tied to me wearing his jersey, then if I wear Tyreek Hill's jersey and Tyreek Hill has a bomb game, then Tua has to have a great game because he's the one throwing the ball to Tyreek Hill. You see how that one works? Hey, man, thank you guys for coming through, man. It was great, man. Hey, we'll be back next Sunday, same time, Dolphins, Texans. And then, yeah, we should be back. Let me see. What times are the other games? Because, I really don't do the late games. Okay, so Sunday, the Browns, the 49ers, and the 49ers is a 4:00 game. So we'll do a post show after that. The Browns is a 1:00, and then the Jets right now is the Sunday night game, but it'll probably get flexed into a 1:00 spot. So yeah, we'll be back for the next 4 games, especially that I'll be on vacation then, so I won't have to work. I won't have to rush to get to work the next day. So we'll be back with you for the next 4 weeks. Make sure and check out the MMA show from this morning. The MMA brothers reviewed UFC 310. This Tuesday, Tate Fist Politics will be back for their final show of the year. They'll be doing the end of the year, the lame duck, to see who is the lame duck, the super duck. And then we'll be back in January with Wrestling with Reality, our end of the year show for that. Man Talk Monday will be back January 6th. I have a debate lined up January 9th. So we'll be back in full swing January. So just stay tuned to the channel. We'll be throwing things up sparingly. If something happens in wrestling that I feel like I want to talk about, I'll be quick to throw up a quick a 5 count or something like that. But besides that, you won't see too much more from me, outside of the Dolphin shows. But I do appreciate everybody that came through this year and supported the channel. We got 4 more Beyond the Scoreboards to go, man. So let's finish out strong, Miami Dolphins. Until next time, everybody, thanks for coming through. I will see you on the other side.
Come take a walk through my heart, a stroll through my soul. Been smart from the start, wasn't taught, wasn't told. You could climb through my mind, or fly through my eye. And in time you will find what I rhyme is not a lie. Come take a walk through my heart, a stroll through my soul. Been smart from the start, wasn't taught, wasn't told. You could climb through my mind, or fly through my eye. And in time you will find